On this episode, we talk about one question that might crush you, how to cut hair like a boss in New York City, and one of my friends on Medium who is absolutely killing it. Hey everybody, and welcome to Finish Friday, the show that helps more creative people change more lives. I'm your host, Todd B from Tennessee, and I created this show because on a scale of 1 to entertaining a puppy who hasn't slept enough, creating things is hard, and finishing those things is even harder. So what's going on? I'm kind of hungry. It's past my lunchtime. I had some extra time setting up the show today, but I don't eat until I create for you guys. You guys know, in the morning, I don't eat breakfast until I write something. In the afternoon, I don't have lunch until I shoot the show on this day. So, but who cares about me, right? I'm hungry pretty much all the time. That's pretty much the deal. Let's get into today's topic. There's a question that we start asking as human beings about 3 years old. And it's one of these questions that, like, if you answer it correctly and you answer it definitely and you answer it properly, you have a very clear direction in life and you have a very clear path and a clear purpose. But if you leave this question unanswered, you kind of wander around in this meaningless fog and you don't get to the places where you need to be as a human being, and you don't create the art you need to create. We start asking it at 3 and we keep asking it until our deathbeds, right? And that question is, why? And it starts out so innocent. We always want to know why. We always want to know why. The human brain is hardwired to seek answers, and why is one of the biggest questions out there that we need an answer for. And so at 3 years old, right, it's really innocent. Why is the grass green? Why do I have to sit in this car seat? Why do I have to go to bed at 8 o'clock? Well, wait a minute. Why do I have to start going to school every day, right? And then as we get older, it kind of progresses into these more meaningful questions like, okay, why do my old friends not hang out with me anymore? Why am I terrible at some subjects but not at other ones? Why can't I find a girlfriend or boyfriend, right? And then we get older and the questions become even more impactful and more significant. So why am I in this job that I hate? Why can't I get out of bed in the morning? Why am I unlovable in some cases? And so we have this huge, massive question that kind of hangs over our heads, and we try to answer it throughout our whole lives. And I want to take a step forward today in trying to help you answer that question for yourselves, because frankly, no one else can give you the answer except for you. No one else can answer your why except for you. And so here's the question to kind of disarm that why and kind of try to get on the right track in your life and figure out what means the most to you. And that question that I want you to ask instead is, why not? Why not? When we have interests and passions as a child, right? When we do things just for fun, people don't question it. Right? Like, you just get to play in the mud because you play in the mud. That's what you do. You're a kid. But then as you grow, you are expected to leave those interests behind in the name of money or a job or a suitable career, right? You have all these societal pressures from your parents or from your friends or from your coworkers or whoever to fit in. But what I need you to do instead is look inside and start to ask the question, why not? I told the story a couple weeks ago of me writing stories when I was in first grade. And since then, thank God I had parents that supported this, but I have started to ask the question, why not? Whenever I'm interested in anything, right? Because in life, at some point, you have to have fun. You have to enjoy what you're doing. And that's why I do this show, because so many people don't enjoy what they're doing. And so the next time you feel that interest, that calling, ask, why not? Why not chase that? Why not write the book that I've been wanting to write for a while? Why not learn to play guitar? Why not do all these things, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to ask one question. You have to ask why you're going to do something, and you can question it to death, and you can beat it up, and you can wait for other people to tell you it's not appropriate. Or instead, the next time you want to do something, you can ask, why not? This week's question of the week is sponsored, as always, by my book, The Creative Curse. So I've been thinking about this and thinking about you guys that watch the show, and I think the most useful thing in that book to you is there are 4 specific ways to work for free to build your brand and start some income before you have a full-time job as an artist. I believe very much in working for free or working for low cost in order to get started, because if you demand such high a price that people won't meet it, then your career goes nowhere. So 4 specific ways to work for free to build your brand in the book, The Creative Curse. I'm going to link it up as always, and let's get into the question of the week. This week's question of the week comes from Courtney in New York. And Courtney wants to know, all right, I'm a hairstylist in New York City and I'm very good. Right on, perfected your craft. You go, girl. Man, I love when people can tell me what they're good at. That's so important. Like in this day and age, that you can tell me what you're good at. That's incredible. Sorry. I am an artist in NYC who cuts hair, perfected my craft. In December, branched off on my own after others saw potential for a few weeks prior. I've always been told I was creative and I knew that I could do art and art was work. But there's always a but. My coaches wanted me not only to freelance, but start a brand. And she goes on to kind of say that she wants to do more art, but she's kind of having to do all of these tasks and all these administrative things. And Courtney, you can kind of clarify down in the comments if I didn't hit everything, but that's what I'm getting from this paragraph of text. So here's the thing. First of all, congratulations, right? Because if you're watching this show, or Courtney, and you're in a place where someone is trying to recommend you start a brand, that means you're good. Like think about that for a second. Like if you've gone beyond the point where you and some of your coaches, honest coaches, think that you can make it on your own and you don't need this other avenue for someone to like bring in your clients or figure everything else out, that means they see potential in you. And then guess what? You're gonna start to face new problems. Every time you improve in your craft, this is kind of one of the well-known secrets of people who are successful in art. Every time you start to get better at what you do, you face new problems. And you have to have the heart to face those problems head on. So one of the things Courtney's facing is a lot of these administrative tasks that draw her away from our art. And honestly, I have kind of a structure that I follow for myself, and I think is going to be great here. 80% of your time needs to be spent on your craft, perfecting the work you do. Because, for 2 reasons. 1, because if you get soft and you get sloppy, no one's going to come and you won't be one of the best. And 2, because that's what fills you up as an artist. Right? A lot of times people lose their way because they're really, really, really good at art, and then someone tells them they have to, oh no, you have to market this, you have to sell this, you have to put it in a box. That's not what this show is about. This show is about the art. You do art because you are fulfilled by art. If you're in Courtney's position and you're feeling the pressure to start a business or a brand and you're not feeling it and you are doing more administrative tasks than art, you're going to lose your way. Because the art is what fulfills you. And I need you to make sure you are taking care of yourself and of that artistic time. 80% of your time on the art, whatever that looks like for you. And then 20% of time on those administrative tasks. I don't care if you have to work on the weekends to make it happen. I don't care if you have to just do this chunk of time faster and better. But the reason that you are faithful with this 20% now is because as you get better at this 80%, you grow. Right? And you get better and better and better. And what happens is that people come along to help you with these administrative tasks so that you can do more of what you love. I will always advocate diving in to the creative side and letting the business stuff work itself out. I am obsessed with writing, and guess what? I've attracted people to build my website, to help me sell my book, to design my book, to format my book, and to figure out how to grow as a business. All because I focus on the writing. Focus on the art, and the rest will come. I'm obsessed with Medium's new feature series. If you haven't seen me talk about that, I have no idea how that happened, unless you've been checked out or I'm not up there in your algorithm. But Medium launched this thing called Series. It's amazing. Amazing. I'm linking it everywhere. I'm going to link it down below. But one of my friends, Tiffany Sun, is in the artist spotlight this week because I just saw her post a new one. It's 4 days old and she's jumping on this new feature, which, by the way, is a trademark of all artists, right? To jump in. Like, as an artist, you jump in with both feet. That's just what you do. And if you don't have that kind of mindset, I'm going to need you to get there, because artists, the best artists, act without fear. And if it blows up in your face, it blows up in your face. And one of the things that Tiffany does is always kind of pursue those new things that could blow up in her face. Recently, like I'm looking at this right now, we talk about balancing art and business, but she's recently like added some Amazon affiliates to what she's doing. Just fine, but she's dealing with like people who are kind of outraged about this, right? Because how dare you make some money around what you've built. Mostly though, I want you guys to take away from this that Tiffany has written for the last 2 years. I mean, I've seen her from afar kind of side by side come up. She's 50,000 followers deep in Medium, but she writes about her life, like as a person. She writes about dating and relationships and family. And one of the most moving pieces I've ever seen wrote about her dad, like being sick, and she's trying to balance this business she's starting with her art, with her family, and she's just unbelievable. And so I'll link her up down below. But this reminds me of episode 1, I think, that I talked about John Green being a human being, and that's why his art is such a big deal, because he's able to be human. And Tiffany is another representation of when you are human, your art succeeds. In this day and age, you have to be a human first and a businessman and everything else second, right? So I want to encourage you, check out Tiffany's profile, see what she's doing, see how what she's writing about doesn't always tie to what she's trying to do in her business, and then replicate that, because the results are speaking for themselves. Great show, guys. Thank you guys for being around so much. As always, ask the audience this week, what are you reading right now? What are you reading right now? Put that in the comments below. I read every single one. I try to reply to every single one, and I get, Medium, Quora, YouTube. I'm trying to balance it all, but I will see you in the comments. And actually, you know what? I'll see you next week too.